What is up, everyone out there on Facebook? Welcome. It is I, Dr. Jason Pape, your chiropractor extraordinaire, coming at you live. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Jason Pape, chiropractor functional medicine doctor right here on Hop Hog, New York in Long Island, owner of the Vitality Center, your one-stop holistic shop. So if you've never seen me before, guys, please put a number 1 in the comments below. Whatever platform you're watching on, whether you're watching live replay, do so, please. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you are watching on replay, please put replay. If you've seen me before and have come back for more, please drop that number 2 in the comments below. So I am a chiropractic functional medicine doctor bringing you education, information, motivation, and inspiration on the regular. Every week, we're doing this every Tuesday night, usually at 7:30. So if you'd like to know how to follow us more, bang, there's our link tree. So you can click on this, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, all the things. YouTube. We are streaming live right now on YouTube and Facebook, and then replay anywhere you would like to watch. Now, I apologize for my appearance. My allergies are usually pretty under control, but they're definitely a little irritated by the extra pollen that's been all over the place today. So my eyes are a little irritated and red. So please, I do apologize for this. It may look like I'm not sleeping, but I am. And we're going to talk about sleep because that's an important one tonight. So again, please pardon all this. So let me get a couple little things on here for you. This layout of my computer is a little different for whatever reason today. Hold on. I want to put some stuff up on the screen here that I'm having trouble finding. This platform is great, except when I don't know what I'm looking for. Bang. And that's me, everyone. Dr. Jason Pape, chiropractic care. Now, normally I don't really have much in the way of allergies. Because of my lifestyle. I don't eat, especially this time of year, I won't touch dairy, wheat, or soy. However, it looks like I may have been getting polluted with a little dairy without knowing it. I have this meeting once a week, and we do in the morning. And my eggs, they think they put dairy in them because it's scrambled. So I think there's milk that's been thrown in there. So I think I've been getting exposed, which is probably why I'm a little irritated. And there's a crap ton of pollen right now. So everything's green. A little early for all the green, but hey, here it is. So anyway. Thank you all for watching. And as always, if you would like to spread the love and say thank you, please feel free to share this out. If you do share it, let it be know you said doing so by saying shared. And again, if you're just joining us, please say hello in the chat and drop a 2 in the chat if you have come back for more. He's got that backwards. That's not if you're new, Vincent. All right. So anyway. What are we going to talk about tonight, folks? Well, we're talking about some good stuff, so I'm going to go to this slide right here. Bang! The healing power of sleep, a vitality deep dive with Dr. Pape. That'd be me. So sleep's kind of an important thing. We all have to do it, and you all know what it feels like when you don't sleep. It's no bueno. So let's talk about sleep. So at different points in our lives, sleep is a little bit more important than other times, meaning how much you get. So most adults, on average, should get that 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That's considered the sweet spot of sleep. 7.5 hours is kind of that number, right? Infants, teenagers are the other two groups that need the most sleep. 10, 12 hours, sometimes even more, is optimal for them. And it's funny when you look about teenagers, what's the group that goes to bed late, gets up really early? That's when school starts the earliest for them is teenagers in high school, when they need the most sleep. So have that way you will. So we need sleep. Sleep's how our body and our brain recover, how it restores itself. Okay, how we process things from the day, clean out the lymph, with the brain, all those kinds of things, and recover our body. That's where our nervous and immune systems heal the most. Okay, so sleep's kind of important, right? Many people go without sleep. Many people have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or both. Or even if they get good sleep, even if they sleep, I should say, or maybe not getting the right sleep, the good restorative sleep. So we're going to talk about all that right now. So first I want to talk about just a couple basic points. So first of all, you should know what a circadian rhythm is. All right. Circadian rhythms are that our bodies go through different times of the day where we should be in different states. And at night, really our circadian rhythms kind of bring us into a place where we get tired and go to sleep. And throughout the night, you should go into different brainwave states at different times. Definitely spending more time in delta and theta as a more dominant in certain parts of the brain than alpha or beta. Beta is your waking, alpha is kind of like that meditative state, and theta and delta are more your sleepy brain waves. And there's a nice rhythm between those. Okay. And if we don't maintain that, you might quote unquote sleep, but you may wake up tired, or you may not recover the same way. And there are many things that can interrupt that. All right. But if that rhythm's off, all right, that rhythm being disrupted can affect the quality of sleep you get. There's many things that can affect that, not just what your brainwaves are doing, but what inputs coming into the body. And those things could be things that are getting in the way of getting that good night's sleep for you. So let's start with a couple of basics, right? So when people come to me with sleep issues, one of the first things I'm going to talk to them about is their sleep. Are their sleep habits? Sleep habits are really important. Okay. How you sleep is a big part of it. So one of the first things I'll ask patients is, what time do you go to bed? Time of go to bed or go to sleep is really important. There's definitely research out there that shows that the sleep you get before midnight is better quality than you get after. So let's say you go to bed at 10 and you're going to sleep at 10 and you get let's say you get 7.5 hours sleep. You're up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, that quality of sleep is different than going to bed at midnight and getting up at 7, 8 in the morning. All right. Even though you're getting the same amount of sleep, that quality is not the same. It's that I've seen some things saying that, 1 hour after midnight is equal to 2 hours, or 2 hours at 1 hour before midnight is equal to 2 hours after. And again, a lot of that has to do with the rhythms, right? Where we should be sleeping. And the more you push that later in the night, the more that pattern may be disrupted. You may not get the same level of sleep. So 7.5 hours, not always 7.5 hours, depending on where you get it. That's number one. Number two, let's talk about people who work like nights. There are actually studies with nurses who work night shifts that show that the ones who work night shifts compared to those who didn't actually live 7 years less. So it literally shortened their lifespan when they worked overnight. So even if you work overnight, get up, get home at 8, 9 in the morning, go to bed and get everything completely dark and sleep for 7 or 8 hours, it's still not the same. And it still can shorten your lifespan. So I always tell anyone who's working night shifts, get off the night shift as fast as you can, because it will at some point impact your quality of your life, and definitely, and maybe the length of your life. And this is something I really talk about a lot too, because a lot of young people do it when they first get into certain jobs like nursing. And it's like, they think they're invisible, or cops, and they think they can do it forever because they're so young, but they don't realize even if they can do it, what and how well they feel like they're functioning, what's that's doing to their long-term lifespan and quality of life. Sorry, the shadow in this room is not as good as I thought it would be. It's making me look like not only my eyes a little red from my allergies, but like I haven't slept. And I am sleeping. So that's an important thing. So then it's also about, when you do go to bed, is the TV on? Are the lights on? Where's your cell phone? Those are 3 things we're going to talk about: TV, light, cell phone. So first of all, the more light that may be coming in your room, the worse. So a lot of times people will recommend blackout shades, things like that, so there's no ambient light coming in. There's other lights in your room, things that we can cut down, and one of those may be a TV. Now, things like TVs, electronic devices in general, give off EMF, and those EMF can be disruptive. And again, also not just that, the type of light that comes out of certain screens can be stimulatory to the brain. So blue light, some people wear blue light glasses, as you may have heard, and you've seen these things with screens where they can change the tone, do it on your computer, your iPhone, your iPad, your whatever. TV, not so much. But the fact is, these have this blue light that is coming towards you, and it stimulates beta brainwave. It actually wakes you up. So either the wrong screen or the types of screen can just wake you up. So these are other things that can disrupt your ability to fall asleep if you're having trouble falling asleep. And again, it can wake your brain up, get your brain racing. All right. So that's one thing. And then the phone, right? And again, I used to tell patients, all right, listen, an hour or 2 hours before you go to bed, I want all the screens off. No more with your phone, no more with the TV. Nothing's going to stimulate your brain from both a light aspect, an EMF aspect, and a stimulation aspect. Don't go watch an action movie before bed, right? The news is horrible. What are you putting to your conscious or subconscious if you fall asleep watching TV when the news is playing? News is usually not good stuff, right? It's not a bunch of like those feel-good stories about puppies, right? That's some stuff, but not enough. So it doesn't feed your brain very well. And then I usually tell people, if you want, read something. Have a book. Read a book for a half hour before bed. Then put that down and just go to sleep. Turn everything off and go to bed. Dark room. That can be very helpful alone. And then the next thing is these things, these cell phones. These things are such a pain in the ass. They create such an EMF thing. It can be a factor. So I usually tell patients, turn the thing off completely if you can. If not, put it on airplane mode and put it on another side of the room charging. Even if it's turned off, I don't want it next to your head charging. It's still current coming in. Take it out of the room or put it on the other side of the room, off, or at the very least in airplane mode, face down kind of thing, so you're not getting lights. Take your iPhone watch, put it over there too, whatever. That's something too, because that could be all disruptive. I don't want the computer in the bed, the iPad in the bed, none of that. Okay? No wearable devices, no Bluetooth, nothing. Next, I also will ask sometimes too, what's behind the wall where your head is? Most people, their head is near a wall. If it's not near a wall, we can discuss that later, but where is it? What's on the other side of that wall? Is it the outside? Is it another room? If it's outside, where does the electric come into your house? Does it come in right there? Does it come in another part of the house? Is there a meter there or right below you if you're on the second floor? Like, even if it comes in on one side, is there a smart meter? These things give off a lot of stuff. Or is there something else on the other side? If there's another room next to it, maybe someone's TV's on that wall. No bueno, because that electric EMF is right there. Fish tank, something, right? All those things can be affecting your ability to sleep. So if there's something on the outside of that wall that you can't change, like power coming in, a neighbor, if you're living in an apartment building with a TV there or something, or maybe someone in the house, you can't move it because it's mounted on the wall, move your bed. Do something so you're not there, right? Now, there are things you can put on your devices. Certain things you put on the devices like this stone I have here, or some other things, wearables that can help block EMF, but that's helpful too. Now, one of the other things I really do like to recommend, it's very hard for people to do this, but is to turn off your Wi-Fi at night, preferably after 7 or at least later before you go to bed. People are like, oh my God, my Wi-Fi, someone told my kids can't play the video games, whatever. The fact is, they shouldn't be playing video games that late, but the Wi-Fi, that signal coming through your house can be very disruptive. Not just for your ability to sleep, but for your health overall, but all these signals and waves that are in the air, the less you can have that in your house, the better. At least the way you can control when it's time to sleep. So again, I would turn off those things. So again, dark room, things like blackout shades, things like that, no night lights, stuff like that. Phone off or on airplane mode on another side of the room charging, out of the room if preferable. TV off 1 or 2 hours before, no screens 1 or 2 hours before bed. Maybe read a little something about an hour before bed. No wearable devices on you, Bluetooth, phone, iWatches, whatever. You can wear devices to help you, and that you go to bed without things like on the TV on, obviously, and make sure there's nothing on the other side of the wall or near your head. And again, hopefully the Wi-Fi is not in your room. And definitely turn it off then. So those are all the first things I would tell you all to do from a sleep perspective, especially if you're having trouble falling asleep. So for those of you who have any questions about that, drop a number 3 in the comments below, or if you have a question, actually tell you what, if you follow what I'm saying, put a 3 in the comments. If you have a question, write it in there or say question mark, because you don't know what you're not sure why I'm saying what I'm saying. It makes no sense. Dr. J is a nut job. Well, don't say I'm a nut job. That wouldn't be very nice. And again, if you are coming in here live and coming a little late, talking about sleep, I just went through a number of different strategies you can do to help you fall asleep. If you're having trouble falling asleep, some optimal things to do to get best night's sleep. And we give a little background what proper sleep time and rhythms are. Go back and watch on replay if you have not. If you are watching replay, then you already saw this. You saw the beginning. So anyway, and as you come on here, feel free to drop that number 2 if you have seen me before, or 1 if you've never been here before. So let's go more into other things we can use that can help you fall asleep. So I do sometimes recommend certain supplementation for people to help them fall asleep. So there's a few different things we can use. So one thing a lot of people use is melatonin. I think melatonin is overused and overdosed, if you will. I don't mean like you're overdosing, but like you really should start with a low dose. 0.1 to 0.3 grams, like 1 to 3 micrograms. Okay. That's where you should start. And I would take about a half hour to hour before bed. And 1 gram maybe at most. But a lot of people start at 3, 6, 10 grams. Let me tell you, there has been research showing that too much melatonin might actually wake you up. And in high doses, it's a great antioxidant. In fact, it was something I used for megadosing when I was for part of my protocols when people were dealing with COVID early on, because one of the things we found is that people did better when they we thought the populations that the lower as you age, melatonin goes down, so sleep's not as good, and that seemed to be a mitigating factor that may have been helpful for. That's why the older people got, the more chance they had of extreme cases of COVID. So melatonin is definitely part of our protocol. Melatonin can be helpful. I will tell you this though: if you do take melatonin, it's not something I would recommend you take if you're going to have to get up early. Meaning, if you can't just sleep, or I wouldn't be dosing on melatonin like that. At least not on a day we have to get up for work the next day the first time. Because I will tell you, if you think it's just going to improve the quality of your sleep, it does not necessarily do that. So like you're like, oh, I only get 6 hours. Let me take some melatonin so sleep's better. Good luck for waking up. It is like a fight. So I'm not going to lie to you on that. If you want to help your body make some more of its natural melatonin, B5 is something you could take. That helps in that conversion, vitamin B5, of serotonin to melatonin. So that can be something some people are lacking a little bit. Sometimes that will help to drive that instead of having to take melatonin, maybe take a little bit of that. Those are things that may be helpful. Again, I'm not treating any disease or anything like that. Also, sometimes people find their brains running. All right. Brain running at night, anxiety, things like that. So you can't turn your mind off. Again, that's always an issue. So there's definitely things you can do. Some things like meditation, maybe listen to some audio, hypnosis audios, things like that can help you sleep. But sometimes I'll recommend certain supplements. So one I really like is something called Copacom. So Copacom is a product from Orthomolecular that I use that really does a nice job of helping people calm their body and their brain down, really, more than anything. So in times of stress, I'll tell people to take a couple doses of these, and it can really just take them out of a state, even more severe states. And sometimes you need a second dose in a short period of time, and it can be really helpful. The point I'm making is that a lot of people I know that have trouble falling asleep, especially if they can't turn their mind off, this might help take them down a little bit. All right. One of the ingredients in that is GABA. Sometimes some people just take some GABA at night. You got to be careful with GABA. Not everyone should be just taking all these things all the time, but these are things that might help as well. And lastly, I'll talk about magglycinate. So different magnesiums have different properties. Magnesium glycinate is a nice one that can help with sleep. It helps with other things too. It can help with sleep, a little bit of digestion, a little bit of relaxation of muscles, and some peripheral nervous system, but really can help with relaxation. So that's another thing you can use. And there's other things you can do. Just be mindful that a number of adaptogens, things that help your body mitigate stress. I usually have people take it in the morning because some of them can wake you up. All right. So if you take some stress off the system, cortisol may have more of an effect, may wake you up a little bit. So I don't recommend those at night, at least not for the very first time trying them. And obviously, folks, it stands to reason if you do caffeine during your day, which is a stimulant, I would recommend never drinking anything with any kind of stimulatory effect to it past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You might think, well, I'm going to bed at 10, 11. Why does it matter? Yes, it still can mess with your metabolic rate a little bit and wake you up enough that sometimes after about 3 o'clock, I don't want anything stimulatory coming into the body that could affect your sleep. Again, everyone's different. You can figure it out on the fly. And as always, guys, if you're watching here live or on replay, drop that number 1 if you're new and have just come in. Number 2 if you're seen me before. And as always, please let me some messages about what you're thinking, about what you're hearing tonight. So the next thing I like to talk about is sometimes people don't have necessarily trouble with falling asleep, but sometimes it's about staying asleep, meaning something's waking them up or they're waking up around the same time each night. So most people, if they're waking up around 12-ish, maybe 1 a.m., a lot of times that is about stress, cortisol. And if you're waking up anywhere like 2, 3, 4 in the morning regularly, a lot of times that's about blood sugar. So if you find yourself waking at the same time every night, people say, oh, I just wake up to pee. Well, that may be true. But usually what happens when you sleep, a lot of systems are suppressed enough that they hold back their stuff and the signals aren't coming in because your body's like, I don't really need to do this. So if you're waking up to pee, it's because it's kind of urgent usually. All right. Not if you wake up every night to pee. I mean, there could be other reasons for that, but a lot of times this is why you're waking up to pee. It's not because you have to go pee. It's that something's waking your brain up in the middle of the night, disrupting your sleep. And then your brain now starts to feel the body, and it'll suppress things that we suppress while we're sleeping, wake us up. That's why some nights you might be able to sleep through the night and not have to pee until you wake up. And sometimes you're waking up at 2, 3 in the morning and get up to pee. So it stands to reason that especially if some people that, every few hours they got to pee because their bodies tell them go pee. Right in the middle of the night, if that happened all the time, you never get any sleep. So, and you don't want to pee yourself, right? That's not usually what we're looking for. So Aneuresis is not usually someone's goal. But so what happens is that if body turns those systems down, both the signaling and then the need, if you will, it kind of sedates everything a little bit. Doesn't mean you're not making urine and things like that, but it's slowing things down. That's why when you first get up, everything goes, oh, we got to get going. Let's empty it out. Everything wakes up and goes, oh, churn it out, folks. Empty these things out. So anyway, if you at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're always waking up. A lot of times it's blood sugar. So what happens is if your last meal is 6, 7 o'clock, some people like to eat after 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, it could be hours, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, 9 hours since you ate. And if you're a glucose burner, like most people are, a lot of times by that time of night, your blood sugar is dropped in the first couple of hours after eating, or a few hours, depending on what you ate, how you mitigate your insulin spike. But by 9 hours, you've exhausted a lot of your anything floating around. So the body goes, oh, we got to make more glucose. So liver, make more glucose. And the thing that tells the liver to do that is cortisol. And cortisol is the hormone that wakes you up in the morning, right? 7 a.m. is when it's supposed to spike, not 2. So it might wake you up, even if it wakes you up a little bit, and your body wakes up a little bit, and you're like, oh, I got to pee. And you think you're waking up to pee every night. Well, no, a lot of times you're not waking up to pee. You're waking up and then feel the need to pee. Does that make sense? So again, if you're drinking a gallon of water before bed, yes, that may be more about getting up to pee because your body's not going to let you just pee yourself, right? Unless you're a small child who doesn't have a spinal cord reflex or not enough B6 or something. So does this make sense? If y'all are picking up what I'm putting down, drop a 5 in the comments below. But it's important to understand that's more about sugar. So if you see 2 to 4 in the morning, what we usually recommend is about a half hour before bed. Take a handful or so, or a few ounces or so, of either Brazil nuts or sunflower seeds, preferably not roasted. Sunflower seeds or Brazil nuts, one of the two. I prefer the Brazil nuts. With about a teaspoon of honey, preferably a local honey or an organic Manuka honey. Do that before bed. That'll mitigate your blood sugar spikes throughout the night and help you sleep better. And it works for a lot of people. Is it perfect? No. Does it help a lot? Yes. Now, if you're waking up earlier than that, like around 12-ish, a lot of times that is also about cortisol, but more about stress, not about food and need for blood sugar. So sometimes it's about adapting, giving your body some kind of adaptogen early in the morning to help your body mitigate stress throughout the day, so that way it doesn't stress you so much at night. So we can talk. That's a bigger picture of adrenal fatigue kind of thing. Now, the other things that might wake us up, right, and not just a noisy neighbor. Some people deal with sleep apnea. Right, sleep apnea basically is where your body stops breathing for a second or so, and it kind of because of that happens, the body kind of gets stimulated back to a somewhat waking state. Now, you might sleep through the night and not know this happens, and you could have these episodes, but you're not getting that deep restorative sleep, that circadian rhythm we talked about before. So you wake up tired or unrested and fatigued throughout your day. So if someone has sleep apnea, it's something we have to mitigate. Now, many things can lead to sleep apnea, right? Tethered oral tissue, especially posterior ties, things like tongue ties can do that. Weight can do it, especially if you're overweight. Certain positions like laying on your back. Even certain food groups like gluten can lead to more snoring and sleep apneas. So it's really important to work on the causes, especially if you're a narrow airway because you have a lot of tonsillitis, adenoids issues when you're younger or still do if you're still young. There's a lot of things that are going on there. If we do have one of those adenoid type issues, tonsil issues, we may want to work on cleaning up the gut because this is all one tube, top to bottom. And if this is affected, this isn't right, this isn't right. So these are all things to think about as well. And some people also will just not get good right rhythms of sleep. So that's one of the times we do these sleep studies, you'll find out maybe they're not getting deep sleep or not getting into that restorative and REM sleep. So a lot of times one of the things I do in my other office is neurofeedback. So neurofeedback is brain training. It's giving the brain a positive reward to encourage it to make new pathways and better connections in a more proper way to help properly regulate brain patterning, firing patterns better. And so a lot of times, plenty of times I'll see things that show me on a QEEG, which is a quantitative EEG, a functional EEG, to tell me what's going on in their brain that may suggest why they're having sleep issues. And then as we balance out brainwave function through neurofeedback training, which is non-invasive and very effective, can help with insomnia and sleep issues. So that's another way to address things. So I hope this has been helpful to everyone out there. A couple of you on Facebook watching right now. And I hope that this gave you a lot of insight and helpful hints of what you can do to maybe help yourself. Now, the last thing I'll talk about before we go any further and finish up this topic for tonight is your mattress. How old is your mattress? Is your mattress 20 years old? No bueno. Is your mattress an inner spring mattress that you haven't turned in a long time? If it's flippable, you need a new mattress. They haven't made flippable inner spring mattresses in so long now that if you have one that can be flipped, it's way too old. All right. So unless you had one sitting perfectly still in a basement that no one's ever laid on before that you just found and there's been no mold or anything, go for it. Different types of mattresses are better for different people. Inner spring mattresses, you have gel latex, you have memory foam, you've got air coils or air mattresses too. So there's definitely different options out there. Just understand that if it's too firm for what you need or too soft for what you need, sometimes I prefer a mattress that's if this is firm and this is soft, we want it in the middle, slightly to the firm side. That's usually the more optimal sleep thing. It depends on your preference. I do like. I'm not a big memory foam fan because they dent. I'm sorry, not a memory foam fan. Inner spring fan because they dent. Especially if you have places, hard to reach areas in your house where the mattress is going to go. It has to be, the thing can be bent on the way in, and already the springs are bent. Right, over time they will deform, and you can't flip it. But you definitely can. You should rotate that mattress every 6 months to a year. So the head goes with the foot, and the foot goes with the head, at the very least. Memory foam are great too. Gel latex can be great too. Just make sure you're not, be careful off gassing or any kind of these things. Make sure you get a quality mattress. And then I like a product called iSleep that makes a really nice inner an individual air coiled air mattress. So you can change the intensity from side to side for people, and it's not just one giant air hammock like a Sleep Number bed, which is not great for your back. Even though you can change the intensity, I prefer the iSleep, but that's something I have to get through a provider like myself. So I hope this has been helpful, everyone. And again, if you have any interest in any of those products I mentioned tonight, feel free to click on there where it says Full Script, and you can go on my dispensary right there, create an account, and you can request certain supplements or even order some without any request. And more than happy to help you. If you have any questions about what I mentioned before, about what to take, drop some comments down below. If you feel like messaging me, if there's anything in particular for yourself asleep, I'm more than happy to help. So I hope all those different things we talked about what you do in your room before you go to bed, where your bed is, how old your mattress, when did you take anything to help mitigate sleep disruptions? Did you take, wearable devices and phones away from you or off? Either EMF in the house, turning off the Wi-Fi, certain supplementation like Copacom before bed, my glycinate, things like that, or using this sunflower seeds or Bazonas with honey to help mitigate some sleep issues. And then if you do have some really more severe issues, what you can do about it. Like people do CPAP machines, they do other things. If there's tetheral tissue needs to be dealt with, maybe deal with that too. Chiropractic can always be a great helpful tool as well, because that spine is not aligned. That can cause irritation to the brain and body, and also cause interference, which may affect your sleep. And I know a pretty good chiropractor out there. So if you're local to Long Island or New York even, and like to come visit us over here at the Vitality Center, again, we are your one-stop holistic shop. I'll put our contact information down there below about where we are, right there on the old ticker. And again, I am Dr. Jason Pape, your chiropractor and functional medicine doctor, owner of the Vitality Center, your one-stop holistic shop. So if there aren't any other further questions, I will bid you all adieu. So I hope you guys had a great live stream here, and whether you're watching live or on replay, and we'll see you in the next video.